introduce you to Ethan Kempner.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for being here today. As a person who is active with the Tourettes Syndrome Association, I can't tell you how meaningful it is to see such a fantastic network of support in front of me, and how reassuring it is to know that there are a great number of good-looking people who are committed to the goals and the progress of the Tourettes Syndrome Association. My name is Ethan Kempner, and I'm a senior at Edgemont High School. I'm a singer in a rock band on iTunes. I'm in school plays. I write stories, film movies, debate, and intern for members of Congress, cook gourmet meals, and play an awful game of golf. By all standards, I'm just a normal kid, and I do all the things that a normal kid would love to do. The only difference is, while doing all the things that I love to do, I struggle with Tourette's Syndrome. In addition, over the last several years of my life, I have dedicated myself to my work as the Tourette's Syndrome Youth Ambassador. Every year, an extraordinary group of young people who are in some way impacted by Tourette's Syndrome attend a conference in Washington, D.C., where their leadership skills are trained and their voices primed to educate the public and advocate on behalf of our commonly misunderstood disorder. They are the Youth Ambassadors. With strength in numbers, their message can spread like wildfire throughout the country. One school at a time, one speech at a time, one person at a time, to promote acceptance and understanding, so that no child with neurological differences will ever be treated with lesser respect or dignity than any other child. We believe in embracing the neurological diversity of our youth, that a kid is not unequal if he or she views the world from an uncommon lens. We believe that education is the best weapon against the misinformed mainstream, who by nature will bully what they do not understand. We believe that every child who wants to improve their lives has the right to self-advocate, and we believe that through teaching, we can better others, better ourselves, and help chart the course towards a more tolerant and accepting society. And most importantly, we believe that our tics should never be judged as a reflection of our character, ever. We are the Youth Ambassadors, and together we figure out better ways to achieve our common goals of advocacy and education. But at the most fundamental level, the Youth Ambassadors collectively comfort and guide each other through the strange and often difficult roads ahead, as a community of like-minded kids who every day do nothing less than inspire. Sometimes education is simple. In my experiences growing up with TS, I have found that it only takes a few seconds to diffuse a potentially embarrassing situation by briefing those around me about the nature of my condition. Let us not confuse ignorance for malice, because often those we see as enemies can in truth be our greatest allies if we give them the chance to be. In fact, the qualities of openness and a willingness to educate are two of the best tools that a person with TS can wield at their disposal, and are time-tested ways to achieve effective self-advocacy for oneself. But I did not figure these things out the easy way. Rather, these lessons were beaten into me during my childhood with Tourette's. Shortly after I experienced my first tic in first grade, my tics became bizarre, and my compulsion to slam my fist against my open jaw distracted the class to the point where I was forced into my own separate reading corner, and a more literal physical isolation was imposed upon me. When I felt the unstoppable need to tear apart my shirts with my teeth, the act of merely keeping my shirt on during school became the battleground of an all-out war being waged in my head. My tics have changed in many ways over the years, and I still tic today. But slowly over the course of my life, I realized the one thing that I think every person with Tourette's needs to know. This one thing is a simple two-word mantra, yet they are the most important, audacious, and transformative two words I could ever say to a kid with TS. Embrace it. To embrace it is not to say that we begin to enjoy having TS. Rather, embracing Tourette's is the process whereby we engage in a positive acceptance of what we are faced with every day. When we accept our differences, when we accept the discomforts of our lives as necessary obstacles, When we refuse to be emotionally injured by our adversity, we take powerful steps towards overcoming the psychological damage that can be caused by TS. But embrace it is not the cure-all mantra. No. It merely describes the long journey those with TS must embark on, the quest to become at peace with themselves and to live their life with the confidence that I know is in them, but must be cultivated. The Tourette's Syndrome Association has been a remarkably powerful force for real positive change in the lives of people with Tourette's and their families. Besides contributing to major advancements in relevant research and science, they have educated tens and thousands of doctors, supported and mentored thousands of parents, and managed to shift public perception of Tourette's from a ridiculed, socially unacceptable disorder to its more accurate description, a disorder that affects some incredibly inspiring people and a near infinite number of manifestations. I'd like to leave you all tonight with a brief story about one of my days on the job as a youth ambassador. Joshua was a 10-year-old boy who, like me, is affected by TS. My task that day was to inform his class on the subject of Tourette's Syndrome, and by doing so to facilitate a more comfortable social and educational environment for the often bullied Joshua. But these presentations are very high-stakes games, where the future of a child's social environment rests on my ability to reach out to his class and convey to them that they should tolerate and accept this commonly misunderstood condition. For many kids like Joshua, whom I present for, I become their voice and the vanguard of their social revolution that they're not yet ready to battle themselves. But in an ideal world, where these kids became proficient in the ways of openness, lightheartedness, and a strong willingness to educate, my presence in the classroom could be reduced to the role of a silent bystander, which by providing a nudge of emotional support could catalyze their entrance into a quest towards effective self-advocacy. And that is a role I wish I played more often. I delivered my last informative slide and then collected a light applause. Then, to everyone's utmost shock, Joshua emerged from his frozen and slouched position at his desk. Then, without any cue or command, he stood up. He marched awkwardly to the center of the room and took refuge in the comfort radiating from my side, where he finally released the pent-up motor outburst that embarrassment had compelled him to hold in throughout my presentation. "Any questions?" he said. And together, Joshua and I took turns answering questions. And whenever Joshua spoke, he lit up the room and brought the most sincere, empathetic smiles out of his classmates. This was Joshua's breakthrough. This was his story. Months later, I received a call from Joshua, who told me that as a result of my presentation, he had not encountered a single incident of bullying. "Embrace it," I said, and embrace it he did. Thank you very much.